And welcome. Welcome to the No Name Podcast. That is the podcast with no name. And our first time guest on the podcast is the one and the only Zen Yi.
Thank you. I'm
Brought
so
to
happy
us
to be here.
by way of the crew of Gritty, Mo, Justin, Dre, and others, right?
Yep, and
And
others.
others. Well, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Honestly, I'm actually glad to be here.
Well, I only heard you once, and that was on Justin's live feed on
Instagram, yeah.
Instagram. And I really liked your voice, and I really liked the way you interact with everybody. Not knowing that you were a lifelong friend of Gritty and
hmm
longtime friends of Mo and Justin and Dre.
hmm
And so I was wondering, I asked Gritty, you think that Zen Yi would come on the show? And he goes, ask him.
Of course,
Right.
of course. It's
And
like my
then,
younger brothers.
and so can you tell us a little bit about how you met Gritty?
Well, actually, I met Gritty. We was in school. We was actually in. I met Gritty in fifth grade, and pretty much we were just like thick as thieves back then. We were just really cool. We used to get in trouble together. We used to just act like fools in school. And as we gotten older, we just became even closer as friends. Like anytime we needed something, we always had each other's backs. And he introduced me when we went up to Visions, one of the camps that we go to. He introduced me to Justin and such, and then Justin and I became lifelong friends. Gritty, Dre, and Mo, we all went to the same school. So we used to hang out together a lot.
Okay. And I know that the crew used to get into a lot of trouble.
Oh, you have no idea.
And uh, each and every one of you is sight impaired.
hmm That is correct.
And so Gritty was telling me something about um, a time when you jumped out his camp window.
Oh, let me tell you how that happened. So when we went up to Visions, it was, I'm gonna just say the first day, like the first 20 minutes, it was legitimately just chaotic. Everybody was in rooms. We all got separated into different sides. So you had side A and side B. So we was all on different sides and such. We were just acting like a bunch of idiots. So the dorm attendant started looking for people. So I wasn't on my side. So therefore, in order to get on my side, I simply climbed out his window and I got back to my side and I was not caught,
So
surprisingly.
what floor was that on?
This was the first floor. Like it was literally just like ground level. So I simply opened the window, climbed out, and walked back to my side while the dorm attendant was literally just inches from the door. Like as soon as I walked out of the window and I took two steps, I literally heard their door creaking open as he's walking in. So I was like, yo, that was pure luck.
So I've heard a lot of stories about camp, about school. Um,
Mhm.
I mean, were there like any crafts or swimming at camp, or was there any learning at school, or was it just
Not
all fun and games?
Nah, it was learning at school, but the way we made it so interesting that it was interesting to go to school. Of course, there was learning, but we just had more fun, goofing off. Of course, we
Okay.
all graduated, but like I said, that's where all the memories came in of us goofing off.
And we know that Gritty learned no math.
Yeah, no, he's terrible at math. Don't. I'm not too bad at math, but when you start adding letters, you got me.
When you start adding letters, that's great.
Like you got me on that one. So like brain will go from 100 to 0. You know what? MX a what? Nah, sorry, I ain't with it. I'll skip all these problems.
So Zen Yi,
Yes,
you are a YouTuber
yes, I am.
and you like anime,
Of course,
you
that's what
like
started my sword collection.
and you like video games,
Of course,
and you mentioned it, you have a sword collection.
I do. As a matter of fact, I have one literally right here.
Wow.
Yep, I got this as a gift to myself, and I just been collecting swords ever since.
And can you tell us something about it or
Well, the sword that I have next to me right now is a katana. I honestly do not know what it says on the blade itself because it's in straight Japanese and I cannot read it to save my own life. But that's actually the katana that I do have. It does have dragons and such on it on the hand guard, as well as some of my other katanas. Like, what you may not know is a lot of the stuff that I have, like, well, primarily my weapons, are dragon themed. So I have pretty much brass knuckles that are dragons. I have a dragon dagger. I have another dragon katana sitting right behind me. So it's a lot. And I just got a new katana from a friend of mine as a birthday gift.
and what's a katana?
Basically, it's a Japanese long. It's pretty much the Japanese version of the knight's longsword. It's the samurai sword that you see in a lot of animes. You see a lot of people using when they're doing cut-in videos and such.
Okay. All right. And so this is merely for collecting.
For collecting, I do sharpen them from time to time as well.
All right. So you don't go into like a secret compartment or a secret room, put on a cape and a mask, and go out the
I
window.
mean,
And
if I was doing that, I wouldn't be on here, especially at this time. If I wanted to be Batman, I'm going to need a lot more money than that.
okay, all right, all right. Well, that's a pretty cool hobby, and that all came from watching anime.
Watching anime and playing video games. I think what started the sword collection for me was watching the anime called Inuyasha, followed by the black anime known as the Boondocks. I know everybody has watched it. We all know who Huey Freeman is, and seeing him using swords, it was just cool. And then what is it? I don't know if you know the black rap group, the Wu-Tang Clan. In some of their videos, they have them. So I was just like, I need swords. I need them. Don't get me wrong, guns are cool, but like you feel a special kind of badassery when you're walking around with a sword in your hand.
So do you go to like Walgreens with your sword or
No. No. If it looks like a cane, maybe. Yeah, I would. But sadly, I do not have any swords that look like that.
now we had a sword like that at the theater department when I was going to college.
Hmm.
At the my friend Tony, who played Polonius in Hamlet, had a
Oh,
walking
wow.
stick, and then when you grabbed the sheath and the handle and pulled it apart, there was a sword inside.
I've always wanted those. I've actually wanted one of the prizes of my collection that I still want is a pistol sword, the ones that the pirates use. It's literally like a it's like a 3-bullet revolver attached to a rapier, and it looks amazing. The
Really?
cheapest I've seen for them go for $10,000, and I don't got that kind of money right
All right. Well, speaking of $10,000,
now.
I was told that you bought two birds at $10,000 a piece.
Yeah, it were gifts from my mom. Pretty much this is after I closed on my house. So I was like, you know what? It's like pretty much a thank you. She wanted the two birds, so I got her the two birds.
And so, what kind of birds were they?
They were called hyacinth macaws. If you look up the word hyacinth, Hyacinth, that's what those birds are. Do you know the movie Rio? You know that animated cartoon movie? those bluebirds in that movie are hyacinths, and they go for a lot of money. That's what I got her, and they weren't bought at the same time. They were bought like years apart from each other.
Okay. All right. And are the birds alive?
Not anymore, no. Sadly, they both got sick and they both passed away.
So how long do they live?
They live, it can vary from 5 to 10 years.
Wow. Wow, because I usually buy $10,000 cars that last me about 7 years.
Yeah, well, that's true. But then again, I can't drive, so there's that.
So I'm gonna stick to the cars instead of the birds.
Yeah. Hey man, if you got it, do it.
All right. So do you have any pets now?
Yeah. I got a dog, a bird now, not the hyacinths though. We got a new one. I have a couple cats, and we got a bearded dragon.
Okay. All right. What kind of dog do you have?
A Rottweiler. We get nothing
Oh,
but
okay.
Rotties over here.
Yeah. Well, those are good. Rottweilers are good dogs.
Yes, they are. They live for a very long time.
Yeah. Yeah, I know the best dog I ever met was a Rottweiler, better than any dog that I've ever owned.
Yeah, and
His
they're
name,
very, very loyal, and they're very playful.
yes, his name was Ivan. I want to tell
I,
you, I'll tell you, this is one of the best stories about a dog I've ever heard. Ivan uh, was a gentle giant. He loved children. Children could pull on his ears and wrestle with them, and he would just play with them very gently. Um, and my friend of mine owned him and had a small farm. So my
Mhm.
friend was going out. He had goats. He went out to milk the goats, and he was trying to raise chickens. And there's a lot of fox around where my friend lives. So he's had
Okay.
a really hard time with chickens. And every so often he gets it he gets it in his head, I'm going to try it again. And it usually doesn't turn out that well. So
Mhm.
he he had some chicks, and he was down to two chicks. So he goes in the barn to milk the goats, and he looks in the nest, and they're both gone. And he's like, what? Give me a break. I really wanted to grow these to adults. So he heard some cheeping, and one of them had fallen down into the wall.
Mm.
So he reaches in the wall, pulls that one out, puts it in the nest. He goes, well, at least I have one. So he's milking one of the goats, and all of a sudden he feels like he's being watched. And he looks over to the side, and Ivan is standing in the doorway of the barn. Now, Ivan would go wander around the property while my friend was milking the goats.
Mhm.
So he looks at Ivan and he goes, what are you doing? And Ivan was just standing there staring at him. And when my friend looked, Ivan's mouth was just open just a little bit. And so when he went closer, Ivan had the chick in his mouth
Oh,
and just had it in his mouth with enough pressure to hold on to it.
not even to hurt it.
And the chick was alive. And when my friend put his hand out under Ivan's mouth, Ivan dropped the chick in his hand.
Would you look at that? Yeah, Rottweilers are amazing dogs. I love Rotties, man.
Yeah. Oh, he was a
I
great
absolutely
dog.
love them.
Yeah. So let's see. Where do we go from here?
Wherever you want to go.
You jumped out the window.
Yep. Sure did.
Oh, yeah. There's something else too.
Oh,
So you and Gritty used to go into the gym
yeah.
and throw basketballs at each other.
Yep, it was a game we used to call Aflac. It was dodgeball with basketballs. Let me tell you something. It's 1 out of 10. Would not recommend at all.
So where did the Aflac name come
I have
from?
no idea. Honestly, it was when that commercial first came out. Again, we were just dumb kids. So when that commercial came out, we thought it sounded cool, and the suggestion came up. So then we tried it. We started doing it, and then it was funny. Like that's how it was. We just act like a bunch of idiots doing that.
And
Good
you used to
times.
throw the ball at each other's head.
Yep.
Well, it doesn't surprise me um, with Gritty.
I mean, yeah.
So if you were going to rank Gritty, Mo, and Justin out of 10, how would you rank them?
As out of 10, watch out, Daisy. My cat just walked across the street. Um, Out of 10, it would be yeah, that's my cat Daisy. She wants to be here too. As far as ranking them, honestly, well, Mo would have to be definitely be a 9 out of 10. Justin would be a 9.5 out of 10, and Gritty would be 9.7 out of 10.
Okay.
10 meaning that they're perfect, but 9 is pretty much that's how close we are as friends, you know?
Okay. All right. What about Dre?
Dre's definitely a 9. Dre's definitely a 9.5 out of 10.
Okay. All right. See, but my ranking would
Hmm.
be, and putting Jesus as a 10.
Yep.
Uh, that Gritty would be a 1.
That don't surprise me. I heard some of the podcasts you were on with Gritty, and let me tell you something. It is hilarious.
Justin would be a 1. And Mo would be a 0.1.
A point one. A point one. Why a point one? I have to ask. Why a point one?
Because I just have to try to get on his nerves.
Yeah, you know what? I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Keep doing it. He loves it.
Yeah. Um, and Dre would be a 1 too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's because Dre's always working.
So I think I went through Gritty's list. Is there anything about Thanksgiving? I had Thanksgiving written down.
Thanksgiving. See, when I used to live in New York, what we used to do is Thanksgiving, moms would cook for like 30 to 40 people. So we would have 30 to 40 people come over to the house, and moms would make everything under the sun. And it would be huge Thanksgiving parties. Like
Okay.
even now, she still does it, but it's just for the immediate family.
Okay. And does she live down in Florida?
She
Okay.
lives here with me.
Oh, okay.
We
All
all
right.
live
All live
together.
together. Okay.
Hmm.
Um, and so you live in Florida, and I heard that you're thinking of moving back to New York.
Yeah, like once, like I think I thought about it because I'm gonna just be honest with you. As far as like a person who's visually impaired, you need to drive down here, and since not having a car, it can be detrimental down here, especially if you constantly use Uber and such. That takes a toll on your pockets. So
Mm,
I was thinking about it. You know what? Maybe after like once everything is settled here and the channel takes off and such. Yeah, I'll definitely move back to New York, like upstate New York and such. I'm not going back to the city though.
okay. So you're thinking of the Utica area where Mo and
Yeah,
Gritty?
yeah, because I've heard a lot of good things out there, and plus it's much more accessible things out there.
Yeah.
as opposed to down to Florida, is as opposed to Florida. Now, the difference between New York and Florida, it's a vast difference. You're gonna notice if you come down here, there's no corner stores down here. Everything is either Walmart, Publix, or Winn-Dixie, and everything is spread apart. Nothing is close together.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, because yeah, even a place like Utica. Utica used to be a bustling city with a lot more going on,
Mhm.
as most upstate cities, were, and different cities have come back in their own way. And I know that Utica is making the effort to improve the city. But when you think about it and you put it in those terms, yeah, I mean there's a lot there that you can walk to. Um,
Yeah,
when I started pastoring there, I was really happy that I didn't even think about it. That Stewart shops were in Utica.
oh, there were.
Yes.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
so that's a Saratoga Springs store.
Hmm.
Started out of Saratoga Springs, and they make all their own products, and their products are good. I like their milk. I love their ice cream. Their kettle barbecue chips are the best kettle barbecue chips that you can get.
Mm,
Um,
man, I'm trying.
and even their because I eat a lot of like trail mix now. I try to stay away
Yeah,
from the potato chips, and like they have these, it's really counterproductive. They've got these great, like peanut mixes and that with all kinds
yeah.
of, chocolate bits and things like that.
Oh, it sounds good.
they're really, they're really good. I mean, they're really good. Um, so it's nice to have those stores there. And then the other thing I like are,
Interesting.
are Cliffs. They're another convenience store, and the reason I like Cliffs is because they sell Utica coffee. Are you a coffee drinker?
Yes, I am. I've actually heard about that on Gritty's show. He actually talked about Utica coffee and how you absolutely love it.
Yeah, it's great. Their house blend tastes like Dunkin' Donuts used to taste 20 years ago.
Oh, must sound really good then, because I've heard a lot of stories about Dunkin' Donuts in their prime, how good it was. Absolute Dunkin' Donuts coffee here could use more sugar, but hey,
Yeah, I don't know when I go through the drive-through, which I don't do that often anymore. The coffee kind of
hmm,
tastes. I don't know. I describe it as plastic. I just don't like it anymore.
yeah, it has a bitter aftertaste. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Very bitter aftertaste. Yeah, I'm be straight up. It's disgusting.
So what is your what coffee do you like drinking the best?
Me personally, I like different varieties of coffee. I stay away from Colombian or anything like that because that coffee is too strong. Like you drink it and you have the jitters all day. If you're not doing something, don't drink Colombian coffee. But I do like coffees that are really sweet and that already come with like some creamer in it. So I like my coffee light and sweet. I don't like drinking that black coffee. I don't, if you want to have hot bean juice, then by all means. But for me, I do not like any type of black coffee whatsoever.
Bean juice.
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah, that's one thing that I'm just not willing to try to give up. Um, I really enjoy coffee.
as
And
do I.
yeah,
Trust me, I do too.
I like putting it through the espresso maker and making myself a mocha. I've got
Mm.
the espresso maker at the church.
Yeah, Gritty was telling me you're a pastor. Believe it or not, I actually tried to become a minister, but the church that I went to was giving me the runaround. So I literally I couldn't do it there. So I was like, you know what? That's actually one of the foundations of me starting my YouTube channel since I couldn't do it that way. I'm gonna just go on the internet since everybody else is on the internet, and I'm gonna just share a message that way.
Okay. Yeah. Unfortunately, a lot of churches give new people who are interested in the ministry the runaround. And I don't.
Yeah, apparently.
Go ahead.
Now, I said apparently, and I'm not a fan of that. I look at it like this: if you have someone who's interested about learning, becoming a man or a woman of the cloth, why sit there and give them the runaround? All you're doing is wasting their time, and then you're gonna push them away, and you lost somebody who had potential.
Right. I think so. I think some do it. I think some do it to see how serious people are about it, and I think others just do it out of disorganization.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm not a fan of. I'm not a fan of either.
yeah.
Like, I'm not, because I look at it like this: if God says, "Come as you are," and if you feel that if you feel that you can reach out to other people and bring them closer to God, why would you sit there and try to be, ran around?
Mhm.
Like I don't like having my time wasted. You can't get that back. You can get anything else back, but time is not something you can get back. So do not waste my time. And if you're trying to hit me with some BS, I'll simply just walk away from it.
Right. Right. No, I mean that makes a lot of sense. And so I did want to talk about your channel.
Hmm.
Um, it, what this is what I have written, and tell me if I misspelled it. It's ZENNYI.
No, no, ZEN space YI.
Okay. Yeah, I forgot to say the space. I don't know why I put two N's down there. I didn't think it was right.
It happens.
So, how would you describe your channel to people who haven't heard anything on it?
I would describe my channel as one. My channel is. I would describe my channel is truth seeking. Honestly, basically, I pretty much what I post on my channel is one: seek knowledge, seek the truth, and always do your own research, because what may be presented is not always the truth. Like, for example, I have a couple videos on my channel regarding what's going on now, and who's leading the country and such.
Oh, you're not a fan of Joe Biden.
Not at all.
You,
Not a fan.
you want to say more about it?
The reason why I'm not a fan is because he's not doing what he's supposed to do as the president. Okay, I get it. We're in a global, situation. I understand that. But threatening people to get something that's untested, what are you doing?
So you're not a fan of the vaccine.
No, I am not. And the only reason why I'm not saying the word directly is because I don't want to get this video or your channel taken down.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that.
No problem.
Um, yeah, I work in a hospital, and I was much more enthusiastic about that thing when it first came out, and and I still support people getting it, but
Hmm.
I'm it's with much less zeal as,
Yeah,
and I'm not sure that I'll get a booster unless it's mandated.
exactly. And that's another thing too. Why mandate something that's untested? For example, if I'm a mayor or governor or even a president, I tell you, okay, if there's a gun mandate, you need to walk around with a gun. If not, you can't go in such and such places. Why would you do that? Why would you sit there and have something dangerous attached to somebody that is mentally unstable or that can't handle that kind of situation? Same thing with like the flu shot. What I find funny is they make this thing more serious than cancer, HIV, hepatitis and such, and those have been running rampant for years. So you want me to believe that this thing can help me, but something that's been running rampant for decades, you ignore it? Does that make any sense? Or am I speaking illogically here?
No. I mean, I'll say that it makes sense on the face of it. There may be counter arguments, like especially with HIV, like the nature of that virus.
Mm-hmm.
Even well, in one of my earlier shows, the interview the director of a place called the Dominion House that houses people with HIV, and he comments on the nature of the HIV virus and why a vaccine's been elusive, because it's a different kind of virus. I the thing I don't like about what has been out in the media is criticizing people who don't trust it. And number one, I don't think you convince people to do something that they want to do by calling them dumb or stupid.
Exactly.
And the second thing is there have been so many conflicting narratives that have come out from, say, all sides of this now politicized issue, and even from the medical establishment, that when I expressed my hesitation on getting the booster, it's like I really would like some more definitive information about
Exactly.
the safety of this thing.
Exactly. Like, why would you sit there and why using a peer pressure tactic that that's not going to work, and it's going to make you even look worse? It vilifies you because you're trying to force people to get something that they don't even know what's in it.
Mm-hmm.
That's like putting your hand in the piranha tank in the dark. You don't know what's in there, but you're expected to put your hand in there. No, I'm not doing that.
Well, yes, you do. I mean, if you're calling it the piranha tank.
True. But if it's dark, you don't know if there's piranhas in there. You don't know if there's a shark in there. You don't know what's in there. Right. There's not enough details. It may just say it's a piranha on the surface, but who knows what's in there?
Okay, it could be a shark.
Exactly. That's what I'm getting at.
Okay.
And even as far as the medical field, what's in it? Why aren't they releasing the ingredients to what's in it?
That I can't answer. I don't know if they have or haven't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I just know that I just know that we're who would have thought that we would be going through this?
Yeah. Our country went from democratic to socialist in a year.
So tell me what's socialist about the country.
Now, apparently, there's mandates regarding masks now. Even though it's not enforced, the mandate is still there. When this first hit, you were required to wear a mask, or you were not let into certain places, certain restaurants, or people wouldn't even accept you in certain vehicles because if you're not wearing a mask. Of course, that's been loosened, but it's still there. Now workers still have to go in and wear masks and such. Even now, yeah. Go ahead.
But what makes that socialist? I mean, socialism is an economic philosophy.
Yeah, it is. It is an economic philosophy, yes. But it also, But it also enforces that you have to follow certain rules to allow certain things. For example, big companies were using mandates for their workers to wear masks or to get that thing. If not, they weren't allowed to work in said companies.
Uh-huh.
And now they're rescinding it. And now they're rescinding that because all that thing is proven to be unsafe, and it makes it a liability to said companies.
Hmm. So if they don't have the mask mandates, it's a liability on them,
Yeah, it's
and a liability as in they'll get fined, or a liability as in someone can sue them.
both actually.
So I mean, if it's somebody that can sue them, that's as capitalist can be.
Yeah, that's I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying there.
Yeah.
But as far
Um.
as them, but as far as them getting fired, yeah, they can't with those mandates. They can't do that.
Right.
But again, they're rescinding that. They're rescinding it because they realize how unsafe that thing actually is.
Oh well, I don't know how unsafe it is. I mean, as somebody who's not a a medical professional, even though I work in a hospital,
Mhm.
and I guess I'm a spiritual professional. Um,
Hey man, and in this day and age, we need more of those. I'm be
yeah.
completely honest with you.
Um, I can accept the argument that all uh, not viruses, all of those things have a certain amount of risk to them.
Hmm.
That none of them are foolproof. I listened to a guy who's invented vaccines, saying that none of them are 100% safe. Um,
True, but at least if you can look some of them up, you can at least see what's inside of them. So,
yeah,
for example, with the flu shot, you know that there's a little piece of the flu in there. So that's being injected into your body to create antibodies to combat it. With this new thing, we really don't know what's in there. Okay, it prevents you from dying, but you can still get it. Why?
yeah, I don't quite understand that. It seems like in a majority of cases that the vaccine keeps people out of the ICUs,
Yeah.
and I know that if I get COVID and end up in the ICU, that I need to write him. My advanced directive is just pull the plug as soon as possible.
Hmm.
Because I see what people go through, even the ones that survive. And I
Yeah,
don't know,
exactly.
and I don't know that I even want to go through that. Um, I mean, and that, and Zen, that's one of the things that was frustrating for me during um, during the COVID virus, that it did become so politicized uh,
Unnecessarily.
because of the numbers of people that I witnessed die, um, that I watched die on a daily basis, and I was really hoping, I mean, with sincerity, that this was going to be the United States' World War II moment,
You
when
know, everybody
the
comes together.
the president would have stood up and said, "This is serious. We are not certain exactly how to attack it, but the thing that we need you to do, at least for a little while, is to stay away from each other and put on a mask."
Hmm. Or at least stay home.
Yeah. And
Stay home.
but instead, and people arguing about masks, and to be honest with you, I am not yet to the point where I'm comfortable in public with people walking around with no mask.
I
Um,
completely understand that.
I mean, with the Delta variant and all these other variants, and we don't know how many more variants there's going to be,
Ex-
you know,
Exactly.
what my thing is, uh, can't we just err a little bit on the side of caution?
Yeah. That's another thing too. The populace is so damn ignorant. You would think, okay, there's this virus going around. How about let's stay home and follow precaution. Let's wear a mask and such. Let's actually stay indoors. because this can actually go away. But people still want to be ignorant and going to parties and such without masks on. And now all of a sudden you got cases spiking up again.
Yeah.
You got second waves of viruses hitting, all because of people being ignorant.
You know, and it didn't, and it did not help that that doctor whose last name begins with F told everybody that masks wouldn't work. I mean, we're walking around in the hospital, like kind of scratching our heads, saying, "This isn't."
It doesn't make any sense.
We don't understand this. What do you mean? You know, masks won't work. I mean, we put on masks to go into certain rooms with protocols, and you're telling us that a mask won't help the public now.
Don't you wear masks?
Then we find out it's because to preserve the mask supplies.
That makes no sense. You know, it's funny. You said you work in a hospital. You're with doctors and surgeons who go in with masks on, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So if they wear masks to protect them from bacteria and pathogens, why not wear it for this situation? Now I get it. Some people don't want to wear a mask. If you don't want to wear a mask, fine. Then at least stay home. You can order everything you want to online. You can work from home now.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, you have a stronger computer in your cell phone than you do on an actual computer.
Right. Right.
So I really don't understand that.
And I'm getting a lot of frustration out having this conversation with you. Because I sympathize with leadership to a point that they didn't know, but I think they needed to be a little bit more humble about the fact that they didn't know a lot of things. And that doctor with the last name that begins with F has got to be fired because his image problem is so bad. I supported what he had to say in the beginning, but at this point, I don't want to hear anything else he has to say.
Because misinformation and misinformation in a crisis like this can be the result of many deaths.
Yeah. And even down to the lab leak theory. I mean, there is enough circumstantial evidence to to investigate further. And he's testifying in front of Congress, doing word gymnastics like Bill Clinton did with the meaning of I forgot what that word was that he did the gymnastics with during Monica Lewinsky. But let's twist the words so it can mean what we want it to mean. I don't trust the guy.
Of course not. I don't trust him either. And you know what? That's another thing too. Like that's why I didn't understand this virus became so political and it's irking me. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I don't like the fact that okay, now we got all these new cases. Instead of publicizing the deaths, try to find a damn cure. Seriously, if you have all these stock, if you have all these warehouses filled with the stuff, use something and somebody have a cure. Somebody find a cure.
I don't know. We have
all these different variants of said. We have all these different variants coming in, and now let's remove the political aspect of it. Let's look at it from the spiritual aspect. I don't know if you remember if you remember the scripture in Ephesians, it says we battle not against flesh and blood, but of principalities and powers and wickedness in high places.
Mm-hmm.
You see how the world is running amok right now. See, when I was younger, when my grandmother was still alive, the first book that she taught me when I was a kid was the book of Revelations. And she said that in the coming times, the world will become so evil that it'll make your heart freeze up. And seeing the way how the world is now, she's absolutely right.
Yeah, there's a lot to lead people to believe that it is the end times. Um, but the one thing that I caution people who come to me as a pastor
Mhm.
is that every generation since Jesus was crucified thought that they were the last for one reason or another,
Mhm.
and that Jesus tells us all that we need to be ready now, like Jesus was coming back in 10 minutes.
Yeah, but there's also a lot of contradictions in the Bible as well. But I will say this though, one thing that the Bible did get right though is predicting the current times, how there'll be more corruption in high places, and how we have more wars than we did back then. You
Yeah,
know, all the seven deadly sins are running rampant in the current times. And a lot of people are so busy looking in the natural, you're not looking in the spiritual aspect of it. A lot of people don't seem to do that. Oh, it's not real. I can't see it. Okay, that's fine. But just know, just go. Even though if you don't believe it, that doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
right. So we talked briefly, and you're a Republican,
Yeah.
and you've been a Republican since you could vote.
No. Originally, no. I became a Republican when Trump was in office. And the reason why, and even though I got a lot of flack for it, the reason why is because out of all the presidents we had, Trump may have been an a-hole, but he was an honest a-hole. You know, whatever
That's
he said what,
that's not the adjective I would use, but
you know,
but expound on that. Expound on that.
yeah, like he said what he meant. He meant what he said. He didn't follow anybody's rules. He ran the country like a business instead of an actual president. Which I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm glad he did do that because he fixed some relations regarding us and North Korea and such. He even boosted our economy, not by a lot, but at least he boosted it to when how it was. And we all got stimulus checks out of it. Every last one of us. He said he was going to do it, and he did it. Now, did he do everything right? No, not in the slightest. But at least he was honest to when it counted the most.
So so you feel that Trump had delivered during his 4 years in office
Yes,
to your interests.
yeah, he delivered. Now, I'm gonna just say this: I'm not. I don't despise anybody on the Democratic side whatsoever. When Obama was in office, I voted for him as well. I like I said, I don't despise anybody on each side. But what I will say this though is, when it came down, when Trump's feet was put to the fire, he stood and he handled whatever he had to handle. You know, he came into the presidency. There was a lot on his plate. He handled most of it. All of it, he did not, but he handled most of it when it was needed. And I can respect him for that.
So maybe you can help me out.
Okay.
So when he first got into office, he went into the National Arsenal and picked out the biggest bomb ever made and dropped it on Afghanistan.
You know what? I, I
And
told you. I told you, whatever he may do of things, some of it wasn't right. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, that couldn't have been me. I wouldn't have been like, you know what? Let's just throw a bomb at him. I couldn't have done that.
I mean, the I should have found a picture of it because it reminded me of a bomb on the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote.
Yes,
And
yes. When he
as
drops
they
one,
were showing the bomb, I was looking for the word Acme on the side of it.
When I saw that, I was in my head. I was thinking of the little whistle drop, the whistle when it was falling.
Uh-huh.
You see the giant mushroom cloud when it explodes.
And
That's what.
I was never clear if they dropped it on anything or if it was just vacant land.
Who knows? I honestly do not know. But I will say, like I said before, he may have not done everything the right way, but when it counted, he came through. So there's that.
Okay. And so, how do you respond to, um, people's critique that he's racist and stoked racism in the country?
Well, you know what? I have no control over that. And how I respond is to listen, if you can show me proof, sure. If you can show me proof that he said that, okay, you're absolutely right. But if you cannot, then you're just going off of based assumptions.
Okay. Um, I did not feel safe with him in office.
You didn't feel safe with him in office?
No, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because I have at least been looking at the covers, if not reading articles within the New York Post for the past 35 years.
Okay.
And Trump was a frequent focus of news stories in the New York Post. And for the last 35 years, I've never really read anything that would endear me to him in any way, shape, or form. So when he started running for president, what we found out when he won was what an abject failure the Democratic machine is. That they could not defeat, that Hillary Clinton, with $1 billion war chest, could not defeat Donald Trump. And not once did the Democratic Party dive into that trove of New York City journalism from the past 40 years and just expose story after story after story after story. They could have hammered him during that campaign, and they didn't. And that's why I don't like the Democrats, is because they think that people are just going to vote for him. And they don't.
No.
They do very little work to get elected.
No, okay. I agree with you on them doing very little work. That's true. But then again, it's like, okay, you know how that old saying goes, you have one finger pointing at me, but I have 5 pointing back at you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's how it was between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. I can get into more details off air, but there was a lot going on with that. And that was a reason why that's one of the main reasons why she didn't go story after story, because just like she had dirt on him, he had dirt on her as well.
That's a good point. It wasn't the Russians.
Of course not.
Any sensible person. Well, I'm going to make some people mad.
I mean, hey.
But if you still believe in Russiagate, I invite you to go to the Nation magazine or go to the Gray Zone on YouTube, specifically to Pushback with Aaron Maté, who won awards for his reporting debunking Russiagate.
Mm-hmm. I definitely will check that out.
Yep, get your get your notebook out because his reporting is that in depth.
You know what? I will suggest you also look up Ben Shapiro.
Oh no
on
no,
YouTube.
No.
You don't like Ben Shapiro? You don't like Ben Shapiro?
No, he's like he reminds me of a rabid chihuahua.
Hey man, he's a intelligent chihuahua.
I
I can.
I have given him a lot of ear time,
Hmm.
and I've got to the point where I can't listen to him. I don't like his tone. Um, I really don't.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But one thing that I do push for as far as in life and on my channel is seek knowledge. Seek as much knowledge as you can. Seek as much knowledge as possible. I'm sorry, my cat just walked on the screen. Seek as much knowledge as you possibly can, because not everything that's being presented to you is the truth. You know, media has a funny way of spinning narratives to vilify or demonize someone,
So
even though they could be.
what are the
Hmm?
sources that you go to for information?
One thing I do, the first thing I do, I don't go to one particular source. I search as many things as possible. And it could be from Google, it could be from YouTube videos, it could be from different articles. I look up if anything adds up with what is being presented. So, if, for example, if they have a video, oh, Pastor Moran is a corrupted minister who accepts bribes behind the scenes. Really? So I'll go in the articles, I'll go to past videos of when you are, on stage and such, and you're doing your preaching or whatever, and I'll literally look up if there's personal interviews of other people who have been in contact with you, who have seen you accept bribes or not. That's how I go about my research.
Okay. And if I did take bribes, I wouldn't be driving a 2012 Mazda 3.
Exactly.
So I'd like to. I have a preferred news source,
Okay.
um, and it their motto is the world's only reliable news.
Hmm.
And going back to President Trump, this was an expose story that I really think that a lot of people really should have paid attention to when he was running for president in 2016, and it was neglected. So just give me a second to share here.
Hmm.
And can you see the newspaper?
Yeah, hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
So it's Space
Space.
Tramps Visit Trump.
Oh, that's funny. Space transfer. That's funny. That's actually a funny name for it.
And so scientists find no sign of human female genitalia.
Huh? What the? So we just put, so that's something out of like sci-fi or something? Is that what we're doing now? We just pulling stuff out of space?
and,
So,
and Trump is quoted by saying, "I didn't know how to greet the space ladies. The whole thing was a tremendous embarrassment."
He didn't know how to greet the space ladies. So the pumpkin-headed president didn't know how to greet space ladies. That definitely sounds believable. That sounds more comical than anything else.
Well, it's the Weekly World News, the world's only reliable news source.
Oh yeah, they sound very reliable.
I mean, look at the top story. David Bowie being kept alive. Hubble
Oh,
captures photos of the beloved rock star's cryogenic space tomb. I
oh
mean, that,
wow. Cairo, this is some grade A reliable news right here. You can't get it anywhere else. I'm in shock. All my research is going down the toilet. I am in shock. Oh my stars and garters. Look at this. These resources are truly reliable. No
these
other
are
resource.
reliable.
They're truly no other resources as reliable as this. You know what? I'm doing all my research on there from that weekly world news. Simple as that. Bang, pow, boom. I don't even
It's
do
right
anything else
here.
anymore.
The
You
Weekly
know what?
World News.
The
the
weekly
world's
world news.
only reliable news source.
You would be the perfect spokesman for them. With that type of enthusiasm, they'll be flying right off the shelves.
Yep. Did you see my mug?
I
Weekly World
did.
News mug?
Yes, look at that. Look at you out here. Also, I've also heard Gritty tell me that you was thinking of getting rid of your intro. Do not do that. Do not do that. That intro is amazing, and the rock music is on point.
Okay. Um, well, I'm sticking with the music in the beginning.
Yes, do that.
And
But
I
do
think
not give her that rock music.
no, because I think Gritty thought I was getting rid of the music. I wanted to get rid of the logo in the beginning, which I did. Um, I like starting with the music under the intro. You know, like when I introduced you.
Okay, yeah, I like that.
Yeah. And then the logo gets shown at the end. And now this is only the second week that I am sitting in front of the new background, the
I
new
like
No
it.
Name Yet podcast background.
You know what? That's your name right there. The No Name Yet podcast. That's your
Yes.
name right there. That's literally it. You've had your name all along. You didn't even realize it.
Yes.
You had your name all along. That's the kind of genius you have. You're so damn talented that you didn't even realize I gave it a name by giving it no name.
That's
Genius.
that's right.
Hmm.
So if people are still listening, because I know people don't like to hear politics stuff.
Yeah, they don't.
And I tend to get a little passionate too.
It happens.
Yeah.
That's one thing. One thing about politics, or one thing that I've learned when talking politics, I listen to everybody's point of view. I know they can get very passionate. I stay silent until they're done speaking, give my point, and I leave it at that.
Yeah, because I don't like any of them.
Hmm.
And to me at this point it's a class war.
Yeah, and I'm not a fan of that. That's why, like, now I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't just pay attention to politics. I pay attention to the world as a whole because now everything is just like everything is spinning chaotically. There's no organization in the world right now. It may look like that, but in actuality, it is not. And as far as far as it goes spiritually, you have spiritual warfare going on everywhere.
And
Everywhere you turn, there's spiritual warfare.
yeah, and I agree with you. Because I view the political parties in this country as serving the same masters.
Yep.
They put on really, really bad political theater each and every day through the cable news stations.
That's why I stopped watching TV.
And I don't buy it anymore. And the level of corruption
It's massive.
through so many institutions, and even institutions that directly affect my life, especially recently, it's just astounding with the lack of responsibility and stewardship from organizations that are supposed to be responsible and supposed to steward.
Exactly. Like, for example, this is where faith is truly important, especially in this modern day and age, because now you have people who are just sitting there. You can't serve two masters. You have people trying to jump on both sides of the fence. You can't do that. And it creates chaos. Some people are in it, simply motivated by greed, lust, or desires and such. And now this is what the world is coming to. It's literally the world now is a competition of lesser evils. That's pretty much what it is. And they, like you said, they all serve the same master.
Right.
This is why faith and remaining in scripture is so important. Because if you don't, you can get caught up in this whirlwind of the world. And even when God placed us here, he even told us the world is not, it doesn't belong to us. It never did.
Right. And more and more, when Jesus says that, this world is not your home,
It's
um,
not.
I'm really beginning to feel that more and more.
Yeah.
Like
It's
realize it
like,
within my spirit.
yeah, like it doesn't, you don't feel comfortable anymore. You go outside, the air is heavy, it's silent. You feel like you're being watched in everywhere you go, even in crowded places. It just goes to show you the spiritual warfare that's going on. A lot of narratives are being spun to try to deceive you. This is how well crafted and complicated the enemy's plan is. It's so complicated that people don't even realize they're just puppets in the overall master plan.
Mm. So, where, from what sources do you find hope?
I find hope in faith. I'll be honest with you. I find hope in faith because that's something that you can truly rely on. And it's backed by a literal God that's known for showing up when you need him.
Right.
It's backed by a literal God who can literally pull you out of any situation. And all he asks in return is that you put him first. I think that's honestly a pretty good deal. He's not asking for your soul. He's not asking for money. He's not asking. All he's asking is that you acknowledge him. That's a pretty good deal if he's providing you miracles. Wouldn't you
Yeah.
agree?
Well, the great commandment, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. I mean, Jesus
Exactly.
broke it down by saying, love God first and love your neighbor as yourself. And the rest of all this that's in this big book rests on that lens.
It does. It really does. And I can honestly tell you, there's been situations where I've been blessed abundantly because of faith, you know? And that's one thing I try to, preach in my channel as well, is make sure you have faith as well as knowledge. Maintain the faith with God, because in this current day and age, you're gonna need it tenfold, because a lot of people are just swaying back and forth in the storm. I seen a post on Instagram that said a lot of people would favor the devil if he was popular. And it's the absolute truth.
Yeah. Yep. So, we are going through some very, very difficult times.
We are, most definitely.
And that you get your hope through faith. I get an incredible amount of hope through faith. And I can't even think of something funny.
Have
So,
faith in that.
anything else that you'd like to share with us? Anything else you'd like to say?
Thank you for having me on. If you guys do want to check out my channel, it's ZEN space YI on YouTube. If you want to subscribe, that's perfectly fine. If not, that's okay too. Like I said, I enjoyed coming onto this podcast. I love doing it. If you want to have me on again, I would be more than willing and honored to definitely jump on this podcast again. I love the conversation. Hopefully, we can have more people on so we can bounce more ideas off of each other, because I
Right.
enjoy
Yeah.
conversations like this.
Yes. Yeah, I thank you for coming on. It's been a while since I interviewed somebody, and I appreciate you coming on. And yeah, I think it'd be great to have you on with Gritty, with Mo.
Of
Um,
course.
who knows if Justin is on break or not? But we'll at some point Justin will hopefully be back on the No Name Yet podcast.
Hopefully. I'll
Hopefully.
convince him.
So we end the episode the same way every time,
Okay.
with a prayer.
Of course.
All right. So let us pray. that Father God, I thank you for Zenyi coming on the No Name Yet podcast. And that, Lord, I ask you to watch over him and watch over his family. That, God, I ask that you protect them, and that, Lord, that they all feel your presence and know that when you say that you will never leave us nor forsake us, that you keep your promises. So, God, I ask that you cover Zenyi's house, and that, Lord, that you pay attention to the desires of his heart, and that, God, I ask that they match up with your will. That, God, as we go through this life, that, Lord, we want to accomplish things and we want to thrive. And I ask for accomplishment. I ask that Zenyi thrive, and that, Lord, that his dreams are realized as he continues to grow uh, throughout his life. So, Lord, we thank you for everything that you do provide. And that, Lord, I ask that you keep a sense of hope and a sense of joy in our hearts. In Jesus' name, amen. And Lord, God
Amen.
bless that cat.
Right? Apparently, she wanted to be interviewed as well. She wanted to be interviewed as well.
All right. Good night.
Good night.